that handloom, and we call khadi only that which is both spun and woven by hand.
So
Back to the question
the
about why are we
question,
unable to tell young people
yeah.
and pass this message on?
Actually, there is a policy fault, I would say, because I have watched the government very closely for over a decade, being part of the committees, removed from the committees from time to time. And I think all our national institutes of fashion, and of course now NID also under Ministry of Commerce, these are the policy related matters and the curriculum related matters that when they come in the final year, they have to have the whole year. They should choose, like how we choose a discipline of, when I'm in fine arts, I'm chosen painting as my discipline. Like that, they have to choose a discipline from Indian techniques. And then they have to diversify, make a global approach, tweak the whole technique into a color forecast of coming years, and that should be mandatory. I was invited by NID a couple of years ago. I was on the board of Amravati Governing Council. They said, let's change the syllabus. But again, go round and come back to the same your syllabus, which was done years ago on foreign syllabus based. NID had been introduced by Helena, as you know, and NIFT not better, because NIFT has survival problem. They need more students. They are opened at so many number of places, also in remote locations where they are not finding the faculties. So these are all policy related
Students
issues.
are there, faculty is not
Faculty
there.
is
That's
not
the
there.
problem.
Yeah,
Finding the right teachers is very, very difficult.
So it's been a policy level, issues, and students are innocent. Students, I think people like you and us and who are going as a guest speaker should impress upon them a lasting impression. That is what we can contribute, you know.
Right now in Bangalore NIFT, they've tied up with a group called 100 Hands who bring wonderful craft and textiles to the table. And I think for the first time, I saw the students actually interacting with traditional textiles and craft. We made them model in the show. So 40 of them came to become my models for this show. We made each of them go around the stalls and choose what they were going to wear. And another team styled them and put it all together, draped saris in weird and wonderful ways. But I think that's the only way we can do it. You know,
time is limited, but recently, Institute Marangoni is a foreign Italian institute come in Bombay. A year ago, I had done a sustainable fashion module for them, 2-day module. In my last slide, I have shown Kotpad village. Most of you know here the red root, Aldai. I have been hand-holding this village for so long, but in COVID, many masters have died, and so I said, please help students go to this village and surface it out, work with them, take them to your museums, take them to, make a collection in London, because it's a collaborative education. 2 years you are in Mumbai, 2 years you study in your another out of 10, whichever city you choose. So very elite family, affordable families, children study there. The good news is that just about 3 months ago, the London Morangani has decided to do a documentation of Kotpad, do a coffee table book, and students from Bombay and London are going to whole year produce their fashion collection from Kotpad.
So, honestly, you tell Indian students, you walk down the road, you can find a weaver. You go to the other side and you'll find a dyer. That you can create work that nobody can copy. There is no other student in this world who has the facility that the Indian student has to be able to create something. So Ramesh, in Kerala, craft is such a valued thing. And you all have really done great work in preserving your traditions and in preserving the craft forms more, because the textiles are not so heavy. I mean, today, I find more towels being woven in Kerala than anything else, But you do have that beautiful brocade of yours, and, it's just fantastic. And you've been working with so many different groups across the years. What would your advice be to further the cause of Indian textile and craft?
See, Kerala as itself has a very, very long history with textiles. It's a land of calico. But very little of that is documented, or even if you want to research something back, we have very little look back at what calico meant for Kerala. In the context of textiles, Kerala's textiles is perhaps the only textile which has very little surface work on it. The moment you move out of Kerala into other parts of India, you find a lot of surface work done on textiles, which elevates the value of it. Kerala's textiles basically has a significance of it being off-white. It's sheer handlooms, very fine count. On that, the border is the identity which has been retained for the longest time. And it has a lot of cultural relevance of why it continued to remain that space.
The kasavu.
The cassava. So in many places they think whatever comes out of Kerala is cassava, not understanding that it's only the brocade, the gold and silver, which in conventional times used to be made out of pure gold thread. Today, because of the high pricing and not the demand being there and the power loom coming and taking over, very little of that is relevant back in the system. In terms of weavers, in the last 20 years, we have lost more than 500,000 weavers away from this craft because Kerala is urbanized unlike anywhere else. I mean, today's 50% of weavers are in Assam. Almost, I think, out of the 26 lakh weavers that this country has, almost 13 lakhs is in Assam itself. Kerala has, today's status is less than 10,000 weavers. A good amount of them are in Kannur, who do the home furnishing, the torth and the bed sheets and all those things for an export market, largely. And traditional weavers are left back in Balaramapuram. The other two places, Chenamangalam and Kasaragod, Calicut, a good amount of power loom has taken over. Today, even if I go to a weaver, he will supply me power loom the moment I ask him quantities. There are very few who are remaining back to do skilled work because 5 years ago, to retain the weavers in Kerala, government started a project called School Uniform, wherein the government employed and engaged weavers to retain back in the craft by paying higher wages to weave a school uniform, which essentially means they need to be de-skilled because they don't need to be highly skilled. It's just a plain white fabric, but they can weave more meterage and earn a better living. In 2018, when I started my movement in Kerala, the government's minimum wages, which wasn't revised for 12 years prior to it, was 250 rupees for a day's work, provided they weave 5 meters. So which was criminal. Even the planning board went back in the years of campaign. Now currently it's about 350 to 370 rupees. An average unskilled laborer in Kerala makes close to 1,000 to 1,200 rupees for their day's work.
Just hold your mic closer.
Yeah. So in that kind of a situation, to retain weavers is the first challenge. The young are not weaving. In the cluster that we work very closely in Ernakulam, 96% of them are women out of the 400 odd weavers remaining. 85% of them are above the age of 45. No young are coming to weaving. No weaving workshops takes place because the government condition is such that only unless you have 20 young people coming to learn weaving, they don't conduct the workshops. And very rarely they find 20 young people to come and take part in it. So most of the time the workshops are announced. It's never done. In cases where it's done, the wages that is paid as stipend for learning the craft is more than what they will earn ultimately by weaving. For a day's workshop, they get 400 rupees to learn the craft. But once they come out of that training of 3 months or 6 months, the industry doesn't engage them to give them that kind of money. So there is a lot of systemic problems which we need to address. The government has the intent, the government has the funds, but on the ground level, the numbers are diminishing. So to retain certain forms of craft becomes extremely challenging because first is to contain their livelihood. The sustenance or the sustainability that we speak about, besides the product and the processes involved, is also about the people being retained in the craft. I'm afraid I might see a space in Kerala where you might have weavers from Bihar or Bengal coming and weaving because we don't have local weavers left anymore.
It's happening already. There are weavers migrating across the country.
We have it in Tamil Nadu,
leaving the profession
I'm sure this is what is going to happen.
Well, as Beena says, policy has to be rewritten. That is the main thing. Now, sorry.
Quick remark on the training that government spends crores of rupees every year for the so-called training, but the whole machinery, the government machinery of assistant directors and directors and the whole line in order will see to it that it's just 15 days training and weavers are coming for money, the stipend that they get, no actual training by qualified people is done, they go back, no azo-free dye they can use, no other techniques of weaving that they have learned they can use, and the crores of rupees of public money, that is our taxpayers' money, is just going, not reaching to the handloom sector. And last government, though I am a neutral person, I am not in politics at all, but they have removed the handloom board. So we lost the voice. The whole handloom fraternity has lost the voice. No handloom body to touch the government or represent to the government.
It's very surprising considering Mr. Modi does promote handloom and khadi to such a large extent. Maybe one of us should just try writing directly to him and asking him to intervene. Naushad, so you are 4th generation, Naushad, then you've been part of the crafts thing for many, many years.
No, I'm the 2nd generation, I would say.
2nd generation,
Yes.
okay. what is your opinion on how to modernize our textile crafts and processes to appeal to the younger generation? Like they were mentioning that, you know, our daughters don't wear as much handloom as we would like them to wear. And sometimes my own daughter says, oh, Dad, oh, you know, I want to just wear something simple and it's all too complicated. How do we inspire them? I mean, what do we do?
Well, I think um, India is the only country which still has such amazing, diverse range of weavers. Literally every state has one, right? So I built my brand with one simple idea. Okay, I'm going to try and work with different artisans in different states for every year. So I haven't done much yet, you know. So you can imagine, I could easily go on with what I'm doing for a very long time. I haven't covered really not much. So, and the other thing I had in mind was like, um, I mean, to give you a background for me, my dad was a textile merchant, so we had like piles of textiles all over the houses. We barely had any tables or sofas left. Everything was piled up with fabrics. And I used to be really annoyed as a kid. We didn't have a separate warehouse sort. So a lot would come in and go all the time. But I was not very attracted to them at all, to be honest, you know. I was completely chasing something else. I was getting into arts. It's just pure by chance I got into fashion. But naturally, when I got in there, I started with very little. And when I looked around, okay, how can I be a little distinctive from what has already been happening? How can we do something which is not seen? I only had one way to do it. I had to go and weave. If I buy something and make, it's going to resemble a lot of things that have already been made. So there was a lot of efforts that goes into getting into weaving. Anybody who's starting, you know, as a brand for the very first time, it's not easy. Commercially speaking as well, it's expensive, rather than buying and making things and making money out of it. So when you make something which you love so much, what's the best way to do it? You use every bit of it. So I just hate to see something gets cut and thrown away. So we started using every little bit because we could not afford to weave more and more. So the only way for me to weave again is to use what I already did to the best way and sell them and get another chance to weave. So it became a simple process without, this was long before the whole fashion has to be sustainable kind of, you know how that whole fashion sustainable thing has become a huge buzzword in the industry. Every magazine did covers on it, stories on it. I would say in a very shallow way, actually. It was not studied very deeply. You know, NIFT now has fashion and sustainable design as a department and an elective. And I went for one of the courses, and it's sad to see how little the students understand about it. I mean, today just buying cotton and making is not probably the most sustainable way to do it. The way crops are cultivated and water issues and a lot of other things, and probably making cotton clothes is not possibly the best sustainable way. A lot of technologies will probably help also, you know, it's a balance. Yeah, so but coming to the younger generation, accepting handlooms and Indian textile, the only key is that it has to be wearable, it has to be practical. And I always tell my team when we get new bunch of designers working with us and interns, the simple question is, why should sustainability be boring? And it should be exciting, and that's what the new generation wants. It should be practical, it should be wearable, and it should appeal to them. I mean, fashion is a very desirable industry. We create products that one desires to buy, wear. They should feel good and nice, and they should feel, oh, I could pull it off, I could carry it, you know? So one of the earliest things we did, I did when I started my brand is also, I am a big admirer of saris. I think it's the most beautiful piece of clothing ever designed. That's the reason it still survives. It can never be replaced, you know?
Young Indian women wait till they're 30 years old to start wearing saris.
Yes.
Yeah, till then they're all wearing Zara. But you know, I had mentioned, yeah, but I'd mentioned it earlier that when Sabyasachi did his collab with H&M, the collection sold out within 12 hours. Using Indian block printing technique, the poppy print, of course no royalties were paid, but it sold out within 12 hours. So that means young India does want that, So where are we then, missing the point? Where are we not getting them to come directly to the artisan? Why do they have to go through Sabyasachi Mukherjee, through H&M, and then buy that?
Discussing this very current subject. I have two observations to make here. Number one is that we are not really proud of what we do or what we have, the USP of handloom and handcrafted textiles. Number two is that it is our USP. It is completely our country's USP. Like Naushad said, we don't have this kind of USP anywhere in the world, this accessibility anywhere in the world. Number three is that branding is what it is all about today. So when you say that you buy a Dior bag or a Hermes or something for 5 lakhs, 7 lakhs, and you don't want to pay 50,000 for a patola or a Banarasi or whichever sari, it's because we haven't learned to brand. And last but not the least, if we come to the government point of view, and we come to the government, how dare our government today have taken away the use of the word khadi by any of us in the design field? How dare they do it? And we have used khadi, which is, we understand the difference between khadi and handloom. We've been in this industry for 30 years. And how dare they take this away by saying that only the Khadi board can do it. The Khadi board is even given the polyester Indian national flag, the word Khadi. And they are saying that their polyester is being hand-spun, hand-woven. How? From which angle are they saying this? And there are practitioners who are agreeing to it because they are, sorry to say, ass-licking the government, the current government. And also, we all need to come together, forget the handloom board, forget anything else. We all need to get together and make a protest. How dare they send us notices when we use the word khadi? Because we are buying the yarn from the Khadi and Village Commission. After that, why do we need certification? Why do we need another certification to say that our product is handloom, is khadi or not? That is my point. Thank you.
I just want to add a bit to it. So the khadi debate has been going on for a long time now, and there is a very little protest in terms of what it has happened. The word khadi, the government of India lost its copyright at the Vienna.
KVIC now owns the copyright, which is the khadi.
No,
and village
KVIC does not
industries.
own the khadi word copyright even now. They have lost at the Vienna Convention forever, which is why they bought an amendment in the parliament for the usage of the word khadi, which they will decide who they will authorize to. So I can go to KVIC, pay a fee and take the license, subject to them agreeing to whatever I'm doing. Now the moment I buy it and make a garment, I still can't use the word. So they kind of make it exclusivity, something which is a shared treasure of the subcontinent. Khadi does not belong to India alone. It's been a shared tradition and something which is larger than philosophy than a garment. I look at khadi being more of an idea than just being a word owned by a government or by anybody. Sending notices, legal, these are all attempts to try and curb something than promulgate it. Today you have solar charka, you have amber charka, everything is classified under khadi. They send notices to Fab India, to Raymond's, to everybody who was trying to push up across an idea and across the wearability of what it was. Of course, most KVIC institutions are in dumps today. I am backing up one organization for the last 5 years without much success. We have all kind of assets, we have all kind of training facilities, but there are no students. Because of the way the systems have been managed or the KVIC guidelines have come forward, there's very little for us to do anything without seeking permission or these things. And unfortunately, I sit in Kerala where there is no BJP or the central government authorities to back us up. Even during the floods when there was a damage of 10 to 15 crores in the khadi sector, we did not receive 1 penny either from the state government or from the central government. Whatever money was collected by KVIC institutions across the country was pulled back by an order from the central government saying Kerala is being funded by the Prime Minister's Relief Fund, so you don't need to send separate funds. I had to go and beg with the collector to multiple public sector companies which came forward with me 60 lakh rupees which we could fund. So we could revive the looms, the charkas, everything, but we could not buy enough raw material to keep the looms alive. In 5 years, the following year we had another flood threat, the next year we had COVID. So in 3 years, that system has almost come back to square one. So the usage of word hand-spun, hand-woven is something which we can universally keep going about it and still doing khadi. But designers or brands which wants to push forward the idea unfortunately can't use that word. They are sent notices constantly by the government.
But you know, the strangest thing is that if I asked you a question and say, what was India's fastest moving FMCG product, which is fast moving consumer goods, you'd think it was ITC or Hindustan Lever. No, it was KVIC and Khadi, who did 44 billion last year. 44 billion in Khadi. So it's thriving, it's doing well, because you see, the world buys Khadi for
Prasad, I would
various-
like to correct here. In this 44 billion, just 5% is the fabric sale. 95% is the village
food
industries.
and the other goods that
The
they
village
do.
industries
But
produce
Khadi
that happens.
itself has done
But
very
Khadi
well.
in itself can do wonders. I mean, in terms of numbers, even that 5% is a huge number of the numbers that you're talking about.
So now I'm just going to give all of you all one last question. I know everyone's keen on getting back for lunch. But if there was one transformative idea that you had, that you could do something, that one idea that could change the narrative in India, what would it be? Shakti, starting with you.
I think as designers, we are, or as creative beings on this earth, well, governments have certain perspective which may not align with what we have all the time. I think this is where we as creative community needs to bring in different perspective to what we need to do, or as craftspeople, or as people who are practicing. Everyone is free to coin a word. I really don't understand why we have, if they are banning Khadi, should we use Khadi, is my question. Returning back, I'm saying why not is a different thing, but there could be another word for Khadi for sure, which is much local, much micro, much different to be able to even look at it. That's one. The other thing, I think it is important for us to keep reinventing ourselves and keep moving forward in things for only one reason, that that we need to reinvent things that we are doing forever. I'm sure Bina has been reinventing her own work over time for so many years of experience, and so are every other designers who have been wanting to show themselves something new, something relevant to these people. Like someone said, everyone is talking about what about younger generation. I think it is our this thing that we haven't tried to reach them. We need new stories that they are able to relate to. They can't relate to freedom fabric of Khadi because they haven't even born. They don't even know what it is about. And we need something new for them to be able to relate to.
Veena, last words to you. I'll give it to Naushad, because women must always have the last word. So. Tell us, Naushad. What would your idea be to transform the narrative?
Well, from designer's perspective, I would say, our topic today is like, we should start questioning on whose development we are working on. I mean, is it only for one person or for the entire community? So if we approach design from that angle, then everything changes, right? So then we automatically become more inclusive, and the only way to do that is work with communities of weavers, communities of artisans, where it becomes part of your design process. And also designers have a lot of credits, I would say. It's given way too much than they deserve, I would say, which an artist or an artisan and a weaver don't get normally. So it's the power we have. So we have the voice basically for the entire industry to blow the trumpets. And also in India, we should learn to blow our own trumpets. We should be proud of our craft. We should be able to talk about it more and more. That's the only reason why a European or a Japanese buyer values Indian textile more than Indian consumer, because we don't talk about it to our own crowd as much as
Very
they talk
true.
about it.
Sorry to butt in, but Issey Miyake has a brand in Japan called Hath, which is made only with Indian handmade textiles. And he has about, I think, 14 stores across Japan. It's only Indian textiles, mostly khadi and handlooms. And it's fantastic that he does something like that.
Yeah, see, and also coming back to why is it a big challenge for younger generation to be accepting textiles? It's our responsibility also to position it correctly and make it appealing to them. We're not reaching out to them, like you said. And you know, we are still talking about the same old narrative, oh, save this, save them. I don't want to sell my products based on, you know, based on pity. I don't want to sell these things saying someone's dying, someone's suffering, they're working in poor. We're not selling it correctly. We should make and promote in such a way that it's going to look good on you.
True.
There is a story behind it. You're going to look unique wearing this, and there is a cultural identity to it. And we need to sell on those perspectives. We should stop telling the younger generation, oh, you buy it because you save somebody. No, you buy it because you look good. And we make and design and produce in such a way that it's a desirable product to them. Then why wouldn't they buy, right? So it's a fine balance about educating the importance of the fabric that goes into those fashion, and also the good side that is appealing to them, right? So I think that balance is very important in the narrative. And in social media's world today, it's not difficult to do it, you know.
Thank you.